Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an update on Silver Tiger Metals. Silver Tiger is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker SLVR and on the OTCQX under the ticker SLVTF. I'm joined today with the president and CEO of Silver Tiger Metals, Glenn Jessome. Glenn, always great getting you on the show. We talked about a month back, and we'll circle back around to why it's been a month since we've talked. But I want to kick this off with just a quick thought on gold and silver, in particular gold, just ratcheting to higher and higher levels. Gold is that chaos hedge. It's the safe haven, and we can say that the last couple of weeks have been nothing but very volatile, a lot of uncertainty. It's done its job. I guess as someone that's sitting on a lot of gold and silver and has an open pit that has a lot of gold in it, that probably excites you. But what do you think of the move in the precious metals, Glenn?
Well, Shad, it's great to speak with you again. Thank you so much. And look, gold is doing what it's supposed to do. This is not a surprise. Look at the risk we have in the world right now. Look at how gold is performing. I don't think we're in a risk-off environment. I mean, every day is up and down messaging. Look at the CPI numbers today. Look at what they're hinting at on some of the employment numbers that are going to come out of the US this week. Risk, risk, risk. Gold will continue to be that haven of safety and is doing what it's supposed to. The only thing that's standing out to me, look, we have your right. Our first phase, the open pit is 70% gold. What a great time to have a lot of gold. But, we are truly underground, a big silver mine. So we're excited also what we think is going to happen with silver. I mean, I looked at this a couple of days ago. It was over 100 to 1. At some point, silver's catching up, and oh boy, is that ever going to be exciting. And these prices are a dream. I think I had to reach out to our team over the last couple of weeks, and you remember the sensitivity table we always look at in the PFS that shows how much money this, especially the pit, makes at certain gold and silver prices. I keep having to add columns to the right. So exciting times.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have that the metal sensitivity table has to keep being expanded because gold keeps pushing the upper boundary on it. And I do think it's exciting to see if we can see that gold-silver ratio compress and silver does the catch-up trade, what that'll do to all those high-grade silver ounces you have at depth. But let's talk about why we haven't talked for a month, and that's because right after we talked at the Swiss Mining Institute, you went into a blackout period because you did a financing. You announced on April the 14th that you have closed a $15 million bought deal financing. What can you tell us about who came into this and why you raised the money, Glenn?
So, Shad, it was so funny. I mean, I think we talked, if it wasn't the last day of SMI, as you know, I've been on the road steady for 2 months. I mean, we went from Vancouver, MIF, and VRIC, from BMO, PDAC, then right over to Europe, marketing on SMI and marketing on either side. And we weren't contemplating taking money. Now, I was down to $3 million in our account, but, still driving the project forward, what we had to do. Pretty good environment. And that Thursday night, I marketed one more day in Zurich. And then that Thursday evening late, probably within 3 or 4 hours, I had two of the institutions, the investment banks approached me and both offered $15 million bought deals. That was in front of me. That was Thursday. I said, I got to sleep on this and think about it as I flew back to Halifax. And look, it was really this simple. And I think we've got to look at history. When it was over 2 years ago, Shad, that we took our last financing, 18 million bought, BMO led it, big syndicate behind it. All long only institutions were in that, precious metals institutions. And that was I think 24 hours before Putin and Russia invaded Ukraine. And then it was, as you know, financing ended for a long, long time. We were looking at this and the risk was increasing. We had Mr. Trump talking about Liberation Day and tariffs, and I knew that wasn't going to be a good thing. Maybe in the long term, but in the short term, for sure not. And that's proven to be true. So we had that money on the table, and I said two things. I think my permit's very, very close, imminent. And I've said that. I think it's not if, it's just when now. Where do I need to be when that comes? And I think we should look at it this way. Everybody knows, and I think I've talked about it, that I have financing, 3 term sheets lined up for the $100 million. What people need to understand is that's subject to permits. So when I get permit, then I'm going to choose which of those I'm going to go with, and we're negotiating, working on them now. But even after you do that, there's 3 months to 4 months on the other side of the permit slash getting the debt money. And that's normal. That's industry norm because the due diligence has to be done, the paperwork has to be done. So I didn't want to be sitting there with a couple $1 million in the bank and having my permit come because Francisco Albalez, who we talked about, is going to build this thing, has given me the list of what happens in the first 3 months. I'm going to tell everybody what that is and why I took this money. And I would do it 1,000 times, especially in the risk world we're in, because the first day I have to write a check for 4 million USD to get the power line started to be built. Change of use of land is 1.2 million USD. Francisco has to immediately build a 250-man camp day one when the permit starts. We start on that. Final engineering has to be done. Hard to do all that with 2 million Canadian on the basis of the numbers. And the last thing is, look, it's always great to say when that permit comes, let's go get the money. But guess what? In the world we're in right now, almost impossible to raise money for a mining project. Full stop. Luckily, we made the right decision, and here we are with the money. And one last thing I want to mention on that financing, and this is important, Chad, is, I get to see who gave us that $15 million. It's a really short list. It is all long only institutions in the precious metal space, all household names, and many of them current shareholders re-upping. No hedge funds on that list, which is phenomenal because basically now we've got these long guys. Here's the money that go away. Let's really push value here for the shareholders. But one name I will mention, we have a tendency, we don't press release unless the shareholders over 10%. But back in 2020, we really started to get Tigre moving, and we took our first bought deal financing at that point. One of the lead shareholders in that, and I think it was announced at that time, he had a large position, was Eric Sprott. And he basically continues to be a shareholder. And we were so pleased that after we've done all this work to get to the point where we're ready to build, that Mr. Sprott came back and he was one of the largest contributors or subscribers in this financing that we just did. So just nice to see, those type of shareholders with that type of sophistication coming in, watching what you've done, and then re-upping in this most recent financing. So that was exciting for us and a real pat on the back for our team that we're doing the right things. But not just him, all of those institutions. I'm not going to mention them all. Precious metals, long only funds, just re-upping on their investment, showing us, boy, are we ever going in the right direction and keeping those big, very, very sophisticated shareholders happy with what we've done. I think that's a strong message to the street. Now, two things. What do we do with it? 2.5 years ago, almost over 2 years, we took 18 million. Use that money. Think of what we did, Chad. I think people should sometimes remind people when they say, here's what we said we do, and here's what we did. We delivered 2 mineral resource estimates. We drilled almost 50,000 meters. We delivered a PEA for the open pit. We delivered a PFS for the open pit. We're going to deliver a PEA. We'll talk about that in a minute for this wonderful underground silver mine that we're going to put that out on here in the next month or so. That's all bought and paid for in that money. We built a 47-kilometer road and moved the mill we already loaned to the mountain, and we developed half-a-kilometer underground development, cost a couple $1 million. And basically, that's where we explore from the underground now. So yeah, pretty happy with how far we've come. We exhausted that capital. Man, did we ever make headway, ready to build here. And we had to have the 15, and boy, did we ever take it at the right time, especially since we've seen what happened after what Mr. Trump called Liberation Day.
Yeah, Glenn, you said it. I mean, it was smart to take the money when it's offered, but it's very smart to take it in these volatile times. And like you say, you've done a good use of capital deployment from the last raise you did a couple of years back. And look at all those catalysts you just named off. Let's finish up, though, with the catalysts to come. As people know, you're drilling into that high-grade silver area, into the shale, into the high-grade veins, into the sulfide zone. A lot of that's going to be included in this upcoming PEA that you're putting out on the underground. But there's still going to be ongoing drilling after that. But this is going to be significant milestone for the company. Talk to about that as the next key catalyst for Silver Tigre Metals.
What's coming? It's real simple. I told you what we need to do as soon as we get that permit. Let's leave that alone. It's a matter of when, not if, in my opinion. And I've talked about that for a long, long time. A PEA underground, bought and paid for. Basically, all the work is done. It's bench now, which means it's a piece of paper now, a study that's being refined, that as some of the final numbers are being added into. I'm hoping for end of May. Could have dragged early June, maybe, but that's going to be very exciting because, as you know, two big parts: open pit, done with a bow on it. We see what that's going to look like. Can't wait to build it. And then the next will be the underground. This will be the first economic test on that. And as you know, we're underground. We've got our drills there. We'll continue to drill from underground, and one drill rig will turn into two, into three, and yeah, we'll just keep drilling. I like to say forever. That's a big word, but that will be part of the ongoing during the build of the open pit, during the finishing the PEA to PFS for the underground. We're just going to keep drilling and adding ounces to the significant amount we've already put on the books.
All right. Well, I think for today, we'll wrap it up there, Glenn. But exciting times. You've got the capital. You've got a key study coming up. You're still drilling. A lot of catalyst on tap for Silver Tiger. And for those listening in, if you want to follow along with all of the news flow, definitely click on the link down in the show notes. It takes you over to the Silver Tiger website, straight to their news section where you can sign up for updates or just watch the news as it drops. And then also definitely follow along with some of the results that are coming up either late May or June when you get this PEA on the underground. That's going to be significant, Glenn, and we'll definitely get you back on for an update at that time. As always, looking forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, Shad. Always a pleasure.